Jess Fishlock, captain of Seattle's Owl Reign, captain of Wales Women, Wales' most capped player, men or women. Move aside Ian Rush, Gary Speed. It's you. Also awarded an MBE for services to the LGBT community as well as football. Jess, what are you most proud of?
Yeah, look, well, just for one thing, actually, Sophie Ingle is captain of Wales, so there's that. But what am I most proud of? I mean, I'm not really so proud of like all my achievements. I think my achievements are just kind of just my life story, really, and are just a part of my kind of career and kind of my life. So I find it really hard to be kind of proud of those, because I've gone through so much to kind of have that, if that makes sense. So I'm more just proud about I don't know, who I am, you know, what I've grown into, what I've grown to kind of believe and support and kind of fight for. So I'm more proud of that than I am of my career or accomplishments or success or anything like that.
We're going to come on to the documentary, the short documentary that is essentially the outro to the new LaGolda Game Changer episode, the LGBTQ themed football cartoon. But in that you talk about coming out, and you've always been out as a footballer, and from early on you've been your authentic self, and that is something clearly to be proud of. And in the short film you talk about how liberating it is, but also that it's brought dark times as well. Could you just amplify that a little bit?
Yeah, look, I think, yeah, you know, obviously who I am and kind of being an out kind of footballer or person in general, really, is always, it always is kind of freeing, and it always makes you enjoy life better. You know, being your true self is always, it's nicer, right? But it's not easy to get there. And I think that's kind of the message that we're always sending, and why Pride is such a big thing, and is because it's just not easy to get to that point. A lot of people always feel isolated. They always feel alone. It always feels like they can't get to that point. And I think that is the hardest thing. And, you know, even though, yeah, from a young age, I've kind of been out and that, but up until that point, I was also felt isolated, felt alone, felt, you know, like I couldn't do that it was impossible to do that, you know, if I did come out, if I did do this, then my whole world would blow up. You know, that's often what a lot of people feel. And, you know, I'm no different. You know, when you do come out and you realize that's not the case at all, rather than your world kind of blowing up, your world just becomes so much better and so much bigger and kind of a better place. But it's the fear of that stops you from doing it at the end of the day, you know. And so yeah, you know, I can relate to how I'm sure everybody feels, and I know that because I felt it. So that's why I always feel it's so important to support Pride and be really vocal and active in it.
So now you're literally, as well as metaphorically, playing on the same team as Megan Rapinoe. Mm-hmm. That must be, I mean, the more players like you and Megan are out, and so publicly out, has got to help everybody else, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You must know plenty of footballers or other sports people who aren't able to be out.
Yeah, 100%. And it is true, you know. Yeah, me and Meg play for the same team. We, you know, share a lot of the same values. She's an incredible person, stands up for so much importance in the world and wants to make a lot of things better. So yeah, I'm sure that we do, you know, help a lot of people or send out a lot of good messaging. And yeah, you know, I'm sure there are a lot. I do know a lot of people that just can't, or don't feel like they can be themselves, even now, and even if they are, an athlete or yeah, footballers, people still feel that way, and we have to keep kind of pushing the narrative that it's not okay, that people are scared to be themselves.
For sure. So we've had a lot of questions, and some of them are quite personal. Mm-hmm. So you might not want to answer them. All right, yeah. What's your pre-match prep? Food, music, that kind of thing. Superstition? Somebody else asking.
I don't really have any superstition. I'm not really superstitious at all. My pre-game prep is I have a really big breakfast. I have some eggs on toast, with some bacon and some pancakes, actually. This is lovely. And my music is, I'll listen to Khalid actually before I play, which is my go-to always.
Excellent. Training, what do you love and what do you hate? And it's been a difficult time for you. You've just come back from year's cruciate injury, was it?
Yeah.
But you've done brilliantly. I saw the highlights of the Challenge Cup game, and you could have scored. Yeah. You had a fantastic, great save.
Yeah, I should have scored. That's what should have happened.
No, creds to the keeper.
I know.
But so yeah, what have you been enjoying in rehab? What do you enjoy in training, and what do you absolutely hate about the gym or training?
Oh, I hate running. That's one thing.
I'm with you.
That'll never change. But I enjoy the training itself. I enjoy football training. I enjoy being with the girls. I enjoy the competitiveness of it, and the kind of team ethos. But I will never get over running ever.
It's boring, isn't it? If there's no ball to chase.
Terrible, yeah. Terrible.
All right. So we talked about this a little bit. You've travelled pretty much all over the world playing football. Well, Australia, Germany, France, the States. Where else? Scotland?
Yeah, Holland.
So what place did you like best? And I guess it would be interesting to know what places you think have been really accommodating and engaging as an LGBTQ person.
Well, Holland was phenomenal in all aspects of it. I lived in a little town which was beautiful, had like cobbled roads and that. I loved it. And their LGBTQ inclusiveness is amazing. I remember going to Amsterdam Pride all the time, and I just loved it. I had my best time, my best life. Seattle's the same. Seattle's incredible on both sides of it. Super open, very kind of eccentric, very diverse, very supportive, and a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city.
Cardiff's pretty good too, isn't it? Pretty good pride in Cardiff.
Yeah, Cardiff's great. I didn't think we were speaking about that. Cardiff is great too. I actually haven't been home for Cardiff Pride for a long time, which is quite sad. But
and there isn't one this year. They're all virtual.
I know. But yeah, so those two are great. Melbourne's beautiful. Leon's beautiful. Like, I've been very lucky that I've lived in a lot of beautiful places.
Do you think it holds? I mean, there's been a lot of focus on the fact that no elite male players have come out, and there's a lot of speculation at the moment, which I guess I don't think is particularly helpful. I guess people are going to come out in their own time. But do you think there's a kind of concern, maybe particularly from the guys, that they don't know where they might be playing this time next week? They might be transferred to a hostile country in terms of LGBTQ rights?
Yeah, look, I don't know. I'm actually against the whole kind of, it's not a witch hunt, that's the wrong word to use, but everybody's always like, someone has to come out, I couldn't be more against putting pressure on somebody to do something that they obviously just still don't feel comfortable with. I think if you're in the public eye and you make a conscious decision to come out, then you know and that you are ready for whatever is going to be thrown at you, right? We like to think that we live in this world where it'll be okay, but we also know that football is probably the most fickle of sports in the world, and you can be a hero 1 minute and then you can be the villain the next. And I'm totally aware, as I've received it myself, that if you make a mistake or if you miss a goal or if you do something that people don't appreciate, and fans are very fickle in the sport, like I've said, the first thing that they go to is to just abuse you, right? And we see that all the time. And we see that all the time right now on social media, regardless, not even about gender or sexuality. It's just about anything. And so, I don't agree with the constant articles and constant conversation about they just have to do it. Somebody has to come. Why are they not coming out? Why are they not coming out? You know damn well why they're not coming out. We all know why they're not coming out. And it is not fair to keep pressurizing that person or those people. It's just not. It will happen. I believe it will happen one day when somebody is so comfortable and is so ready to make that decision. And until then, we just have to keep trying to make the place a safe place. And it obviously still, people don't feel like it is, otherwise we wouldn't be having the conversation.
Totally. So the LaGolda episode Game Changer is a brilliant, it's great to watch, but it's also one of those things that hopefully will bring about those kinds of changes. Talking about developing allies, the parents, that's kind of quite a novel message for me to see, a kind of message that's aimed at parents to become allies, because we know that children aren't born prejudiced, they're not born bigoted, but they learn that. Tell us what you thought when you saw the LaGolda episode for the first time, and becoming involved with it.
Yeah, look, I think what was kind of key for me was that when I saw it for the first time, I remember thinking, I wish I'd seen this when I was younger. I wish my parents had seen this when they were younger. I'm not saying that if that had happened, that like with a click of the fingers, something would have been different. But do I believe that I would have started asking questions at a younger age, or started hopefully asking my parents questions at a younger age, or my teachers, or my friends, 100%. And so when I realized that I felt that way, then I knew that it was something that I kind of wanted to be involved in, and to try and help push that message, and really kind of, I would like to try and get the LaGolda story in some form of education around the world. We're taking some slow steps with it, of course, because we have to make sure that it fits right. But I do believe that it's something that we're absolutely missing. The message is it's so clear, but it's so well represented in the animation that it takes away so much pressure off teachers or other parents, and I think that's why it is such an exceptional piece.
Yeah, absolutely. And if folks haven't seen it yet, then the link is still up on the virtual Norwich Pride site, and at Football Pride as well. Do watch it, and brilliant outro from Jess talking more about coming out. So just a final few questions we've had on socials. youngsters at school, young girls at school, how can we develop their interest in football and maintain it? Because I think it's a massive sport, isn't it, for girls now, football, but a lot of
Yeah.
girls quit. So what do you think we can do to change that?
I think, we have to make it kind of visible for the girls and kind of make it not so much of like a novelty, that it's kind of a real sport for girls. I think up until this point, people have kind of done it and enjoyed it, but it's kind of just been a little bit of a bit of fun, if that makes sense. And we do want it to be fun. Of course, we want it to be fun, but we also want the message that, this can be a long-term thing. This doesn't just have to be an hour at lunchtime or something like that. So we have to kind of make them realize really that it isn't just for boys, it's for girls as well, and it definitely is a longer term kind of investment as well. And also we do want them to enjoy it, and we want them to be around girls that have the kind of the same values as them and the same kind of outlook on sports and teams and kind of growth, not only as a sports person, but as an adult or as a human. And so we have to really kind of keep sending out those messages with it, because you're right, they absolutely fall off, and they fall off when other things interest them, or it's more associated with what is normal for girls in society. And we have to kind of put football in that bracket, or put sports, not just football, put sports in that bracket. And we have to really push the normality of women doing sports in the kind of bracket that society has for women.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Are there any other changes in terms of women's football, in terms of LGBT inclusion in football that you'd like to see, changes in the next 5 years, say?
I've actually seen a lot of really good change in the past 5 years. I think even with Stonewall and Pride campaigns, and I've seen so much more in the game of football that have been so far. They used to be so far removed from Pride, but over the last couple of years, they've really realized what their messaging is sending. And so I think that is huge. And I think for the next few years that we just have to keep pushing that same message. And I think by year after year after year, it's just going to get so much more comfortable that we are really going to create a safer environment, not just for youth, but for adults too, because there's loads of adults that have lived their whole life a lie, really. And so we always talk about youth, and I'm definitely one that advocates for youth, but we do forget about the adults that, get to 30, 35 and finally feel safe enough to tell the truth, or their truth. And so we still have to do that. And so I just want, the women's game and the men's game to keep understanding that their message of being vocal or the message of being silent is huge, and what their messaging actually sends, and I think over the next few years we're going to make a lot of change, because I think the last year or two clubs have started to realize that the silence is just unacceptable.
Jess, I could talk with you all day, but the Zoom deadline is going to click in anytime soon. You've been absolutely brilliant. Thanks so much for making time for Norwich Pride and Football Pride.
Of course.
You must be absolutely exhausted. Have a brilliant time back in the family in Wales. And when are you due back at OL Reign?
We don't know yet. We're gonna figure that out over the next couple of weeks.
Okay, brilliant. Have a fantastic weekend.